The #1 song in 1970 was Bridge Over Troubled Water, and that title is actually a fitting theme for the year. There were lots of troubling waters, from the Kent State shooting to losing some young stars to a troubled drug addiction. But there were bridges too, lots of highlights and debuts that permeated the cultural landscape of America, building a bridge into the new decade. Let's take a look back at the chart toppers and headline makers of 1970. "1970 was the year of some great firsts for women, shattering that glass ceiling from the Methodist Church to Churchill Downs. In May, the first woman jockey, Diane Crump, raced in the Kentucky Derby. That summer, the Methodist Church permitted women to become full-time ministers, and the Mary Tyler Moore Show debuted, introducing an unmarried independent woman to American viewers. The show would air for 7 seasons, earning a whopping 29 Emmy Awards, and featuring many stars, including Ed Asner, Betty White, Valerie Harper, Ted Knight, and Cloris Leachman. College students were testing their independence too, and protesting the war all over the country. Students on nearly 900 campuses staged walkouts. While most were peaceful, the Kent State Massacre made headlines when the Ohio National Guard fired at unarmed students on May 4th. 4 students were killed and 9 others were wounded. This fueled more protests, and more than 4 million students organized walkouts in response. The popular phrase, "Houston, we have a problem," was breathed into existence when astronaut Jack Swigert relayed the news that an oxygen tank exploded en route to the moon. While Apollo 13 aborted the landing on the moon bit, they did make it safely home. Unfortunately, one of the Wichita State University football team planes did not make it safely home that year. The plane crashed in October in the Rocky Mountains, killing 31 people, including 14 football players. The tragedy sent shockwaves far beyond the Wichita State Shockers family. Just a month later, Marshall University lost 75 people, including 37 football players, when their plane crashed in West Virginia. The music scene had their fair share of loss in 1970 as well. Motown star Tammy Terrell, known for her duets with Marvin Gaye, died from a brain tumor at the age of 25. Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix, both 27, died from drug overdoses. The Beatles broke up. Their final album, released in March, was ironically called Let It Be. Likewise, Diana Ross and the Supremes performed their last concert in Las Vegas, so Ross could try her hand with a solo career. She climbed the charts, peaking as the #1 solo artist with Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Some new talent debuted too. American Bandstand introduced the Jackson 5. They'd go on to release I'll Be There, which would be named Song of the Year. American Top 40, a new radio show hosted by Casey Kasem, hit the airwaves on July 4th. The first song played on air was Marvin Gaye's The End of Our Road. "1970 also found Elvis back on tour, his first tour since 1958. Elvis got to meet President Nixon in the White House that year. The famous photo of the bedazzled Presley and the plain president is the most requested photograph from the U.S. National Archives. Top films for the year included Robert Altman's MASH, which would receive Oscar recognition and spark a long-running TV show of the same title. The World War II biopic Patton starred George C. Scott as U.S. General George S. Patton. It won a slew of awards, including 7 Oscars. The movie Airport also premiered, ushering in the decade of the disaster genre. It, too, received Academy Award recognitions, and would birth 3 sequels in its wake. Love Story, though, would be the highest-grossing film of the year. PBS appeared in 1970 for the first time, taking over for the National Education Television Network. Also making its debut was ABC's All My Children. Actress Susan Lucci played the villain Erica Kane in 4,342 episodes until the show ended in 2011. The sitcoms, The Odd Couple and The Partridge Family, also went on to air for the first time. In the world of sports, the American Football League merged with the National Football League. Monday Night Football kicked off its reign with hosts Howard Cosell, Keith Jackson, and former Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dandy Don Meredith in the booth. It was a huge hit for ABC. In fact, across the country, movie sales dipped in theaters on Monday nights, and bowling nights changed from Monday to Tuesday. Do you remember who won that first game? It was the Cleveland Browns over the Jets, 31-21. In basketball, Louisiana State's Pistol Pete Maravich was the first player to score 3,000 points in college. And New York City hosted its first marathon with 55 runners finishing the race. The North Tower of the World Trade Center was completed in 1970. It was at the time the tallest building in the world at 1,368 feet. Ford released the Pinto, which would go on to sell 2.2 million cars in lifetime sales. Chevy also released their second-generation Camaro, the dream car for millions of teenage boys. Simon & Garfunkel's final studio album was Bridge Over Troubled Water. It would become the top-selling LP for the year. While 1970 certainly had its fair share of troubling waters, it also paved the way into a new decade of cultural change, technological innovation, disco, and bell-bottoms. Those are the views from the top of the mountain in 1970. Thanks for watching Memory Mountain. If you enjoyed this video, please click to subscribe to our channel and hit that thumbs up button. Be sure to tap the notification bell so you'll be one of the first to know when we post our next story looking back over the landscape of Americana.